campsite set up on the riverbank. This is why we do it. This is it. Everything we do in four-wheel driving and overlanding, at the end of the day, this is the reward. And it's worth every toll, every roadblock, every flat, every, you name it.
Be a filmmaker. Learn all there is to know about filmmaking and visual storytelling. Subscribe now to catch our weekly videos.
Good night's sleep. It poured with rain all night. It's early September, and September for the rains is very early. And as you can see, the ground around me, it poured, it really, the whole night. We were in tented accommodation. We basically just pulled off the road. We're about less than an hour from the Botswana border, and a comfortable night, and the vehicle is finally done. After all of that effort, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. But we've got a fantastic piece of kit. I present to you the Isuzu 3-litre turbo diesel double cab four-wheel drive. It has part-time four-wheel drive. It has electronic four-wheel drive engagement system, electric rear differential lock. I have easy on tent at the top, a easy on roof rack, Bush Tech canopy, BF Goodrich tires, and that's it. Inside, I'll show you later, I've kept it pretty simple. We've got convenience, but I haven't gone mad, and I've got a simple fridge in the back. So there it is, our companion for the next 4 weeks as we head into Zambia and Malawi.
My expedition to Zambia in 2015 was a challenge in that I lived in England at the time and had to travel with all of the camera equipment to South Africa, pick up a vehicle, and then travel to Zambia. And of course, getting through border posts, and apart from just being overweight on aircraft, was a constant problem. So I had to make sure that all my equipment was minimal in nature. I carried a small tripod, carbon fiber legs, keep it light, small light head, proper fluid video head. But the cameras and microphones I used were principally these. At the time I wanted to go 4K, and the large 4K cameras were extremely expensive, heavy and unwieldy, and I was shooting this on quite a tight budget, and so I purchased this. That little Sony camera is actually absolutely remarkable, and if you look at the footage you'll notice that the color nuances, the texture of the color and that kind of thing is not particularly good. But here's the thing: YouTube kills that anyway. And most of the lovely color balance and nuances are killed by the very fact that they're uploaded onto YouTube, which taught me that a camera like this, being a video camera and not being, because my other camera was this guy here, was the Sony A7, the first A7, marvelous in low light, but of course not 4K. And I wanted to shoot in 4K because I wanted to learn. I wasn't quite ready to present or export in 4K, but I wanted to get used to the fact that I had to have this much detail in the image. And it's an astonishing piece of equipment. Given that you'll see a lot of wildlife shots shot with this. Not big lenses, it looks fantastic. Looks great on YouTube. Doesn't look that good in the raw files. because, as I said, because of the compression nature of the camera, not a particularly big sensor, not a tiny one, but the fact that it is so highly compressed by the camera, I didn't have a lot of color grading latitude in the end. But look how beautiful it is. So my question again is, does it, I'm actually almost contradicting myself here, does it actually matter that if we don't have that we don't actually have the best equipment? The fact is that I could continued to have shot my shows perfectly adequately just with this. Not with the current camera that I'm using now, which is the FX6, just Sony 4K full frame camera. It's wonderful. Full frame gives you that look, that beautiful ability to separate background from foreground, which this does a bit, but not particularly well. So I'm not saying that the new equipment or the best equipment isn't desirable. What I'm saying is that actually something like this does so well, as you will see in the show. My daughter Kate is traveling with me. She was with me last year, if you remember, when I was doing my final Africa trip in my great green Land Cruiser.
Hi.
Day one, we're in Botswana. We decided to go through Botswana and not Zimbabwe because of all of the hassles in Zimbabwe. And at the moment we are in wonderful Botswana, driving north from the town of Nata, which is in the middle of the country, and heading to Kasane. Now here's the wonderful thing. As we head north, sun setting to our west, we're heading into kind of no man's land because, well, between here, where we are, and our destination where we actually cross over to Zambia, a place called Kasangula, there really are no places to camp. 300 to Kasangula, okay, yeah. Well, we've done 20, that makes sense. So we're going to wild camp tonight, and this particular road is one of those few roads left in Africa where you can actually find wild animals roaming freely. So what we're going to do is we've looked on the map and we figured that on the latitude of 19 degrees, was 15 minutes, there are two roads off to the east, and we are going to try and find one of those roads, and they lead to a small pan, and it'll be our first overnight camp for our Zambia trip. One of the few places left on Earth, a public road, not a national park. Elephants. Amazing. Never get used to it. Seen it 100 times. Gets better every time. A little bit stressful in that the coordinate we had, there was no road there, or if it was there, it's grown over and we could not find it. So now getting late, 10 to 6, sun going down, and the bush is very, very thick. I just want to get away from the road. We can wild camp anywhere, it's safe. And four-wheel drive to start with. I've seen a suitable place. It's quite deep in the bush, okay, where I think we will be far enough from the road and, with luck, out of sight of it.
I'm going to try and find our way through the bush, and while avoiding mapani stumps.
Mapani is the most common tree in this area and notorious. Branches go through tires like a knife through hot butter.
This is actually quite pretty. I want to get away from the road a little further, and I see a place there. The beauty of Botswana is that you can do this. It's safe. It's not safe in most southern African countries. Northern Namibia, safe. Botswana, most of Botswana, it's safe. Oh wow, this is very pretty. I'm going to turn down here. There we can park on the pan. It's a very, very small pan. Just make sure it's not muddy. There you go. Katie's taking charge of cinematographer she's going to be the chief cinematographer for this entire project. I'm going to direct her. And there's our tent. We haven't pitched the tent yet, so we're going to stop filming now because it's getting dark. But I can hear a car, but I can't see the lights. We're in a dip, which means we cannot be seen. Even our lights cannot be seen by passers on the road. So we are absolutely safe. I mean, we're safe anywhere, but we don't want to be disturbed. And there's elephant dung around, and hopefully there'll be some new elephant dung in the morning.
Day 2, wild camping on the edge of the road. We pulled over last night. We were chasing the sun. We tried to find a particular coordinate where we saw on the map there was a road leading off into the bush where we could find a secluded place, and we couldn't find that point. Even though we had the coordinates, obviously the track hasn't been used in a while, and it's now overgrown and vanished. So we were chasing the light, and eventually we did find a clear patch in very heavy bush, and we actually found ourselves in this small pan. We're quite close to the road. Now this is the main road that goes from Francistown, Nata, up to a place called Kasangula. Kasangula is a unique point on the map where Namibia, Botswana, Zimbabwe and Zambia meet right in the middle of the river. And Kasangula is where we're going to cross, and it's where all these trucks cross into Zambia. And the reason why that so many trucks use this road is because the corruption in Zimbabwe is still very bad, particularly for truck drivers. They have to hand over money, hand over fist, all the way through Zimbabwe, so they just plain avoid it now. It's worth coming this route even though it's longer and slower. And there's the sun coming up over the bush. Isn't that magnificent? Okay, Kasangula ferry, busy border post, managed to get through in about 40 minutes, wasn't too bad. There was an extra form I had to sign, not a problem. There's Zambia, we're about to leave. These ferries go across the Chobe River all the time. It doesn't cost a lot, and we left the shore within 5 minutes of boarding. We set sail. We're about to land on Zambia.
A new and unfamiliar border procedure can be a bit intimidating. And Zambia, while having a reputation for friendly people, doesn't have a similar reputation for easy border crossings. As it turned out, it wasn't particularly easy, nor particularly terrible. It took a little over an hour, so not too bad for this kind of crossing.
Right, we are at Victoria Falls on the Zambian side. Now, I've only ever been here once, and to be honest with you, I have very thin recollection of my visit here. I'm not sure why. I don't even have too many photographs, but anyway, this is Kate's very first visit to the Victoria Falls. I first came here when I was 7 years old. I've been here a few times.
So what do you reckon about crossing that bridge then?
They call this Danger Point. It's my middle name.
They say don't look down. So I'm going to get this to do it for me. It's disappointing the amount of water coming down. 4 months ago, 5 months ago, virtually the entire line of rocks would be white with water. I can see some steam, if you like, over there, which means a lot more water is flowing over there. See if we can go and get a better view. The truth is, though, it wasn't. Zambia is suffering its worst drought in 20 years. And since over 70% of Zambia's electricity is created by hydroelectric power, means that the average Zambian only gets electricity for 7 hours each day. Interestingly though, that land over there is actually Zambia. We're on Zambia as well. This is the chasm and has a closed end. But that piece of land just over there, I could almost throw a stone at it, is Zimbabwe. This is Camp Nkwazi on the banks of the Zambezi River. It's day 3. I can't help whenever I come to lodges, and we're not staying at the lodge so much, we're camping, but I always remember how we used to run Delta Camp when Gwen and I ran it. Good morning. Ah, yes please. Thank you. And how we were so sensitive to the needs of guests and subtle things. Here, I would rather listen to the birds than the pumping water for the little reservoir. But instead, I've got the hum of that. We used to run it during the middle of the day when guests were sleeping and not doing bird listening things. Little things like that. Anyway, a very, very beautiful place. The biggest problem, of course, is to sort out the dieseline problem. I'm going to send Kate in there with this. Water doesn't really help, it just spreads it around. I was sleeping and I could smell dieseline the whole night, in amongst all the lion calls and the hippos, which made up for it. But I've got to try and get rid of the smell. I put on a dirty shirt in case I spill any diesel on me, and I'm going to decant all of this now into our tank. They even offer a cup of coffee to the campers that come down to the reception. It's quite nice. Border post yesterday. My advice to you, if you're going through Zambia, keep a cool head, especially if you're going through one of the larger border posts. I thought we were going through one of the smaller ones, Kasungula. It is one of the smaller ones, but it's one of the hectic ones. The ferry crossing cost 200 pula. The visas, 2 UK passport visas, there was 80 each US dollars, double entry visas. We were then taken for quite a bit of money for a total of 5 different forms, and these were the forms. The Zambia Revenue Authority for temporary importation of the vehicle. This is the, I think this was a road tax form. Then there's a carbon tax form. Of course I had to have the vehicle registration. Then there's a district council tax form. And then this one, which is the insurance form. I actually had to cross the border, walk across the border to go and purchase this insurance. The total cost was, I guess, about, I haven't actually counted the exact amount, about 350 US dollars to get through that border post. So an expensive morning, but Zambia, as you can see, is promising to be absolutely beautiful. Today we're heading up north, actually northwest, to some falls that have been described to me as, imagine Victoria Falls without all the tourists and without all the people trying to sell you curios. Well, those are the falls that we're going to today. Right now heading west to the Ngonye Falls, which are supposed to be spectacular, also part of the Zambezi. And the road is not what I expected. Now, it's so easy to get this wrong when estimating times. You know, you look up, yes, the road from A to B is tar. This road all the way to Lower Plains is tar. this tar is actually slower than a good gravel road. So when calculating times, it's actually impossible to know, and it's wrong to assume that a tar road you will be able to maintain 80, 90 or 100 kilometers an hour. For the last hour and a half, we've probably been averaging about 40 kilometers an hour. Anyway, Ngwenya Falls is supposed to be the second Victoria Falls, and in fact I've even read in Lonely Planet Guide, it's something like, imagine the Victoria Falls without all of the tourists. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing it. We're at Ngwenya Falls reception, and it has a rather eclectic array of locally acquired ornaments. To get to the falls means a walk, and it turns out we have our own guide. Well, it's 36 degrees and it looks like it's a bit of a walk, and the water level looks quite low here as well, which is no surprise. As we're getting a bit closer, the wow factor is getting larger. One thing though, it's quite a long walk. Take water. We didn't take water. We weren't told how long the walk is, so we didn't take water. Oh man, this is unbelievable. Why don't more people know about this? Like Victoria Falls without the tourists, eh? I read this in the Lonely Planet Guide. A bigger overstatement I can't imagine. Ngwenya Falls is about 300 kilometers upstream from Victoria Falls. I'm trying to imagine what these falls would be like if the water level was even at its normal level. Ngwenya Falls has been formed by the same geological processes as Victoria, with cracks in the basalt being eroded to form the drop. Their height is only about 10 to 25 meters, but with a width comparable to Victoria. There are in fact 7 separate waterfalls. Definitely worth the walk. Definitely you're going to need to carry water with you. It's not a particularly long walk, but at 36 degrees, it's quite a long walk. Worth coming here. It's the ideal spot if you're going up to Lua Plains from Livingston. It's not quite halfway, but it's the perfect stop off and an amazing place.
My name is Andrew St. Pierre White. I'm a global adventure travel and documentary filmmaker. Subscribe now to Be a Filmmaker as I share my hard-learned lessons in storytelling and video filmmaking.